Our today's topic is none other than Bard of Avon, William Shakespeare, who was born in 1564 and died in 1616. William Shakespeare started his career as an actor. Then, with the passage of time, he became a playwright. See, here we are having a word playwright. We have two pronunciation of this particular word. One can say it playwright or playwright. Both are correct. So, as we know, William Shakespeare was born in Elizabethan period when Queen Elizabeth took the throne in 1558, and she ruled for nearly 6 years. Then this great writer was born. Elizabethan age spans from 1558 to 1603. And from 1603, as we know, King James took throne, so Jacobean period starts from there. Since he belonged to that particular period, Elizabethan period, he was a man of his time. Thus, he was aware of the public taste of his day. Means, a very interesting thing that always comes in our mind to know more and more about Shakespeare, and if we want to know why Shakespeare became that much famous and why is he considered as one of the greatest dramatists of all ages. So the main reason is that the age in which he was living, he could understand the public taste of that time. He could know what what really they demand, what really they want to see, what really they want to have the spectacle of. He learned to exploit brilliantly stagecraft and acting going on in Elizabethan theatre. So, what were the stagecrafts at that time, and which kind of acting people were liking? For example, as we know that in Macbeth or in Hamlet, we have supernatural things. In Hamlet, we have the ghost of King Hamlet, the father. In Macbeth, we have ghost of Banquo and other supernatural things like three witches. The people of that time, they liked supernatural things very much. They wanted to see them. Actually, as we have one taste nowadays, we like horror movies that belongs to Gothic genre. The similar manner, the people of the time of Shakespeare, they used to like these things, and sometimes it is said that due to only for the appreciation of the people of the age, he introduced such things in some of his work of art. He was a universal genius of highest order, no doubt in this. Why was he, why is he considered to be universal genius? He was a master in handling the techniques and conventions of his day. And as we know, he used poetic language very clearly, very perfectly in his dramas. One more thing that is very important to understand regarding his understanding, he had intuitive understanding of human psychology. Do you know what intuitive is? It's a feeling that guides a person to act a certain way without fully understanding why. It is generally done through insight. Means sometimes we do some things, we are governed by nature. We don't know why we are doing that, but we do it and we think that this one is correct, and in reality that seems correct. So that is intuitive. That is something natural. One can call it as kind of sixth sense. So he had that intuitive understanding of human psychology. He was master in understanding the psychology of the people, and the best illustration of his psychological depiction you can perceive in Hamlet. You know, Hamlet has various genre in it. It's not only a tragedy. It's when we talk of ghost, it comes under Gothic genre, Gothic, Gothic. When we talk of the mental condition of Hamlet the Prince, then we see how very deeply he goes in the psychology. So psychoanalysis comes in the periphery. Even when you read the drama, the plays of Shakespeare, you understand with the dialogue and speech, especially from the soliloquies of the characters, you can understand the deep psychology depiction that you see in the characters, and that shows the depth of understanding of psychology that was had by William Shakespeare. He was a man of the theatre, a poet, and expert in the human passions. As a poet, he is greatly known as a sonneteer, He introduced a different style in sonnet, English sonnet, that is named after his name, and is called Shakespearean Sonnet. Two long poems also were written by him. Now, when we talk of his drama, see, drama has various features in it, various things are there, those constitute a drama. When we talk of states of mind that is depicted there, complexity of attitude that is there in the characters, in the protagonist and other minor characters as well. Obviously, these things appealed very much to the people of the time, and not only these things, but also the story. Means, see, different people have different taste. Some people like story. Some people watch movies for story only. Some people, especially who go in the depth of literature, they like the complexity of attitude. They like depiction of states of mind. So, for nearly all kind of people, Shakespeare was a perfect dramatist. Story, obviously, the stories, depictions that you see in the drama. See, when we talk of story is not a genre, When we talk of story, there comes one more word that is called plot. Story is somewhat different from plot. Story is the chronological order of the events, whereas plot is the logical order of events. In Hindi, we have a genre called kahani. Kahani एक विधा है हिंदी में. But in English, we don't have any genre like story, because they believe that in nearly all genres like epic, drama, means tragedy, comedy, novel, short story, we have a story in it. So, see, there is a genre in English called short story. novel. And there is one more that is called novella, that comes in between short story and novel. But we don't have any genre called story. See, we talk of this particular word genre, genre. We have different pronunciations of this particular word as well. Genre or jar, both are correct. So, as I was talking that story present in drama and states of mind with complexity of attitude, all used to appeal to the people of that time. So, it started with the taste satisfaction of the people of that particular era. But now, as we know, as we get from the people that in all over the world, Shakespeare is very much appreciated. So now his depiction, his writing has become of universal acclaim. The people of all ages, nearly all ages, from 16th century and after 16th century, the people have a good taste or good appreciation of his work. But there is one very interesting thing. I'll tell you later that how Shakespeare was not that much appreciated in particularly in his century critically. Now, first let's talk about something that is told of Shakespeare by Stephen Dedalus. You know who was Stephen Dedalus? The protagonist of the novel. There is a novel published in 1916 by James Joyce. The name of the novel was A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. He talks of Shakespeare. Who? Stephen Dedalus, the protagonist. He talks of Shakespeare in that novel, and I quote. He says that Shakespeare is like the God of creation, within or behind or beyond or above his handiwork, invisible, refined out of existence, indifferent, paring his fingernails. See how he compares Shakespeare with God of creation, कि रहता तो वो हर जगह है लेकिन इनविजिबल है. And what he says very beautifully, the way he makes us understand, indifferent, paring his fingernails. जैसे जब हमारे नाखून बढ़ जाते हैं, नेल्स बढ़ जाते हैं, तो हम नेल कटर का यूज़ करते हैं और नाखून को बाकायदे हम अलग कर देते हैं. जो उसका अनवांटेड हिस्सा रहता है उसे हम काट कर अलग कर देते हैं. तो वो उसको काट करके अलग करना, दैट इज़ द वर्क ऑफ आर्ट. और उंगली अपनी सेफ बची है, मीन्स वो लिख दिया फिर उससे वो अलग हो गया. मीन्स you cannot say that you can visualize the personality of Shakespeare there, or Shakespeare has a particular kind of personality that you can perceive in his every work of art. See, and that's why when John Keats talk of Shakespeare in his letters that he used to write to his brothers, and there he talks that he wants to become like Shakespeare, and he thought over it that what was the thing that made him Shakespeare, and it was negative capability, means he could negate his personality, and that's why he could achieve the personality of anyone that he wanted to depict. See, very interestingly, I found in one work by Gautam Chatterjee. The work name is called Abhinay Shastra. There he talks of a particular word, charitraheen. Charitraheen. The general sense that we have of that particular word is the person who is characterless. So we understand that the person is not very good. the person is very bad. But see, what is the interpretation of that particular word charitraheen or characterless? Means the person who has not a fixed character. Means one has variable characters, one cannot be fixed. Means जो कोई भी चरित्र अपना ले, in that way one can take this particular word in very positive sense as well. You can say that the personality of Shakespeare, he was charitraheen, he was characterless, because he could attain the character of anyone. He could negate his personality. For the same word, negative capability, we have a synonymous word that is called, phrase you can say, theory of impersonality by T.S. Eliot. Now see what David Daiches says of him. He says, unquestionably the greatest poetic dramatist of Europe. The greatest poetic dramatist of Europe. He was also Marlowe's successor. See, when you talk of Christopher Marlowe, one of the main personalities of university wits, who paved the way for Shakespeare for writing plays. Of course, Marlowe was senior to Shakespeare. And Marlowe was not a less genius than Shakespeare. It was unfortunate that he could not live that much long year, so he could not write that many plays. But whatever he wrote, he had that much skill. One cannot restrain oneself from appreciating him. And see, one very good thing that we see, that Shakespeare was a very great kind of dramatist, and even then he did not make himself detached from others, and that is very clearly shown in his behavior when in the end of his career life, not in the end of his life but end of his career life, he collaborated with other playwrights also. And now comes that very interesting thing that I found today. There is one dramatist named Nicholas Rowe. He was a dramatist, poet and miscellaneous writer. He published the first 18th century edition of Shakespeare in 6 volumes. Means the works of Shakespeare's were published by him in 6 volumes, and it was done in 1709. See, this was published in the beginning of 18th century, and this was the first time when Shakespeare's preeminence was recognized. Preeminence, you understand? That he was very important kind of